Welcome, hunters, to the dusk phase. So the dusk phase is a pretty short, out-of-character phase, which is intended to set up our upcoming night phase. The idea is that before night falls in London, the three of you meet in Hargrave House to share what you've learned during the day phase, make plans for what to do next, etc. This daily recap isn't role-played. We just assume that you all have shared with each other all of the clues and relevant information that you've gathered from your individual investigations. The first thing that we do in the dusk phase is we resolve any playbook moves or custom moves that are rolled during the dusk phase. I think we only have one of those, which is the American's quickening move.
Yes.
Go ahead and remind us what that is.
So the quickening is you live with a curse that causes you to become savage, even feral, to the point where your body physically changes. At the start of the dusk phase, roll with composure or sensitivity, your choice. On a 10+, your body is stronger and faster, and you manage to keep the quickening in check. You roll with advantage when taking actions that use vitality until the next dawn phase. On a 7 to 9, you manage to keep the quickening in check, but just barely. Take the following condition: drained. And on a miss, you are going to lose control. So I have two options there. I can retire this character and tell the keeper to put the cursed in play, or reveal your curse to another hunter and ask for their help controlling you this night. If they agree, neither of you can take any action that would trigger a move during the upcoming night phase, though you should narrate scenes showing how the cursed character is being controlled throughout the night. During the dawn phase, you each mark 1 XP. This option can only be chosen once.
So, Miss Cross, make your roll.
All right, I will roll with sensitivity, so that gives me a +1.
Okay.
10.
There we go. All right. Actions taken with vitality are taken with advantage this phase. That's great.
Wonderful.
The next thing that happens in the dusk phase is that I pose a paint the scene question about Hargrave House itself. This large Gothic mansion that you all reside in has many rooms and many secrets, and this is an opportunity for us to collaborate on your home and its history. The idea is that during the dusk phase, all of you have met in a particular room of Hargrave House to share information, and that dictates the paint the scene that I give you. Let's travel to the music room. A former hunter in residence once used this room to wrangle a spirit using the power of music. There are still subtle signs of that struggle in this room. What are they?
Does it have to be subtle?
No. God, no.
I like the idea that we meet up in here a fair amount because the big, beautiful piano in the corner never stops playing.
Oh, I love that.
I'm picturing that there's this one spot in particular on the floor that no matter what you spill on it or how much dust gathers in the room, it never seems to collect any of that. It's always just perfectly clean.
Ooh.
There are torn up music sheets that would be like littered all over the place, except they all are just somehow adhered to the ceiling.
Oh, I love that. That's very cool. So now I give you all the opportunity to try to answer a question, if you would like to. Looking at the threat, the St. James's Street ghost, you have amassed 7 clues so far, so that's more than enough to try to answer one of the questions that you have. Would you all like to try to answer a question today?
I personally would love to try for this fun extra move.
Oh, yes. That would be the question, which part of the house is the ghost attached to? Answering it does not help the Beals in any way. Sorry, poor Beals. But it does give you all permanent access to a very cool custom move that allows you to consult with ghosts for the entire rest of the campaign.
I don't know. What do y'all think?
So that one is a complexity of 4. So if we were going to do that one, how many of our 7 clues that we've gathered would we want to use up on this?
I feel confident that there's a decent amount left to learn about this ghost in this house, so I wouldn't mind using 4 or 5, maybe even 6.
Okay, so looking at the clues, does anyone have a good pitch as to what room or part of the house the ghost might be attached to? This is also when we get to this theorizing portion of the game. You can attribute any kind of like context or meaning to these clues that you might like. Anything that might help you spin this theory into a concrete answer. Like, for example, Miss Cross seeing a room of the house that was on fire, if you want to specifically say, oh, it was this room, so that's why the ghost is attached to that particular room, you can feel free to say, like, oh, it was the attic, or it was one of the bedrooms, or whatever you may say.
Yeah, I feel like there are 3 room-specific clues that we have that would work really well for this. So the attic door that's locked every time, even when it's been unlocked, is very direct. I think a room that appears to be on fire, but it's not, could absolutely have been the attic. And then one of the windows looks out onto a country house on fire, but not the street. Even though Wainsworth wasn't in the attic when they saw that out the room, I think we could say, like, the perspective that they saw that house seemed like it was high up, coming from, like, the top room of the house.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
Okay.
I love that.
And maybe to support that theory, at the tabloid, you learned that another death had occurred in a similar style, and it was, I believe, a daughter of the people who lived there.
Yeah.
Maybe that was her bedroom that was up there.
Ooh.
Oh, yeah, I love that. All right, that's 4 clues so far. Good job, hunters.
Do we want to try it flat or add 1 or 2 more? I wouldn't mind adding at least 1 more.
Do you have an idea for how one of the other ones could apply?
I am thinking about this lace pattern that keeps popping up in the cracking, and I like to think that that's kind of a newer development, the lace part of it, that maybe that lace pattern matches what's like used on the little babies.
Yes.
What's the word I'm looking for?
Bassinet.
Bassinet, yeah, like some of the cloth and the blankets and stuff are that lacy pattern.
Yeah, that sounds great.
All right, so that is 5 clues and a very credible theory. I like where you're going with this, with the attic. So let me go ahead and read the answer a question move. When the hunters have an open, freewheeling discussion about the answer to a question, once they have gathered a number of clues equal to at least half the question's complexity and reach a consensus, roll plus the number of clues incorporated into the answer or otherwise explained away, minus the question's complexity. So you would be making this roll at a +1. Who would like to do so?
Go for it, Tass.
Damn it!
So in some of the campaigns that I've played, because answering a question is always very stressful, one of us would roll 1 d6 and someone else would roll another d6 so that at least 2 people shared the blame.
Yes.
That's great. I love that.
I'll roll 1.
You sounded so excited about this idea, so you got it.
That's really, that's because I know how much Tass loves rolling dice, and I really just wanted to give that to him.
Here's what we'll do.
Megan,
you and I will roll. Kieran, you pick which die we each use.
Oh boy, howdy.
Oh yeah, bless them.
Okay, how do you read these dice? I'm going to go with the one in your left hand, Megan. And then I'm going to go with the blue dice for you, Tass.
Blue. I call this one ether.
Oh no.
I got a 3.
I got a 4, so 8.
Oh.
There we go.
You're so smart.
All right, so on a 7 to 9, the answer is correct. But the keeper will add an unwelcome complication to the answer and or pursuing the opportunity will be more dangerous. I think to me, this just means that the St. James's Street ghost is going to be a little bit more active next time you see it.
Okay, I love it. We have a new thing.
But yes, so you have access to the move Old Bones. I will go ahead and read it for you all. So, Old Bones reads as such. When you have the Mask of the Future, the Cosmic Passage marked, and touch, listen to, or otherwise attune to a building's architectural details, roll with sensitivity. On a hit, a ghost will appear and answer a simple question you pose it or perform a simple task, your choice. Any answers it gives can be in the form of a clue at the keeper's discretion. On a 10+, as above, and the ghost will not ask for anything in return.
Ooh, I love this.
Sounds useful.
Yes, you do have to have one of your masks of the future marked in order to use it. We haven't marked any masks thus far, but once you do, you have access to that move. So that is one question answered for the St. James's Street ghost. All that remains is the next question. How can we get this ghost to pass on to the next world? And we resolve the threat by performing a quieting ritual. Unfortunately, that threat is a complexity 6, and you only have 2 clues left over right now, so we can't even try to answer that, but that's okay. So the next part of the dusk phase is we go around the table and all of you tell me what it is you would like to do for your upcoming night phase. Would like to do is perhaps a key phrase here. While the day phase belongs to you, the night phase belongs to me. You can tell me what it is that you intend to be doing tonight, but it's entirely possible that I might have other ideas as to what you will find yourselves actually doing. But we all go around the table. You all may speak once, and then there is one opportunity for revision, should you change your mind depending on what someone else says.
My instinct is to go back to the St. James Street house and use Adnam to see if I can get any details about what this entity gets up to at night. Like, I don't know, test its temperament, so to speak.
Cool.
I kind of want to break into Constance's house and steal her notes.
Please do.
I was thinking a similar thing, not necessarily doing a B&E, but I wanted to do research on like any sort of building records, the history of St. James's Street, families that have lived there, anything like that. But if you would like assistance in a B&E, I could help you.
I feel like that sounds more fun than building research, but your idea sounds way more useful.
I mean, we do know that Constance Head is like a notorious snoop. So
Yeah.
Who knows what records she has?
Yeah, if you want to help out with
Okay.
with the heist, I'd love that.
Absolutely. Let's go rob this neighbor.
I love this. Any revisions?
Only, I think, the added detail that I think we venture out together, that my plan essentially is to direct Adnam onto the grounds of the house or even inside while I kind of watch the street for these two.
All right. I love this. The final part of the dusk phase is when I introduce the unseen. So let's talk about the unseen because it is a very unique facet of the between and very dissimilar to probably anything else we've ever done in a role-playing game. The idea of the unseen is that as you all are going about your night phase, there is something else going on this very night in another part of London. And we are all going to collectively tell that story in addition to role-playing out your hunter scenes in the night phase. The purpose of this is to expand upon and flesh out our version of Victorian London, particularly its seedy underbelly. So the events of the unseen have no direct connection to St. James's Street or any of the threats you're about to face. It has no connection to the mastermind, Hargrave House itself, any player characters or side characters, or any other element of the quote-unquote main plot. The unseen is completely separate. What the unseen can have are thematic connections to our hunters' stories, which we call in the between echoes in the night. So all of your playbooks have, did you get an echo in the night, marked as one of your dawn questions. What that means is, did you narrate something, either in the unseen or in your hunter scene, that reflected the other? So here are some examples of what that might look like. Let's say that Tass in the unseen describes a woman dying of consumption who is coughing blood into a bowl. And then Megan, during her night phase, describes Miss Cross walking past a bowl of beautiful red roses sitting on the table. Megan would have achieved an echo in the night because the red flowers are a thematic reference to the bowl of blood that Tass described. Or echoes in the night can be more direct and obvious than that. Perhaps I describe a teeming mass of rats skittering past Wainsworth, as I'm wont to do. I love rats. And then Kieran mentions rats skulking in the shadows during their unseen prompt. That would count as an echo in the night for Kieran because I introduced rats into Wainsworth scenes and then Kieran sort of echoed that and brought rats into the unseen. So echoes in the night can be thematic, they can be visual, it can be a motif, it can be any kind of sensory reference. But if you've managed to work an echo in the night in either direction, either incorporating something from an unseen into one of your hunter scenes or vice versa, you get a point of experience at the end of the night. So the other purpose of the unseen, mechanically, is that it acts as a timer for the night phase. The night phase is going to be pretty short. It's designed to be pretty montagey, pretty punchy, pretty lethal, pretty brief. And the way that we keep track of how long we have in our night phase is by how many unseen prompts are left. So the night phase is going to go like this. I'm going to present the first unseen prompt. We're going to answer it, and then we are going to have a round of hunter scenes that are going to be pretty brief. And then we're going to go to the second unseen prompt, followed by more hunter scenes, then the third unseen prompt with more hunter scenes, and then the fourth and final unseen prompt. And then that is your last round of in-character night phase scenes. So once we reach that last unseen, you have very little time to wrap up whatever it is you're doing in your own personal character narratives.
Got it.
Tonight's unseen is called The Belfort Murder. Charles and Nancy Belfort have been married for 10 years and they absolutely despise each other. Tonight is the night when one of them will finally snap. Paint the scene. As we look around the Belforts' home, how do we know their love for one another died long ago?
Tucked away in a corner, there is a vase with their initials on it, and it has a handful of long dead roses. He stopped buying her flowers, and she stopped tending to them.
Along the walls in their home, there are a few spots that seem clean on the walls, as if paintings have been taken down. So any paintings of each other that they might have put up, especially those with both of them in it, have been removed and tucked away.
I'm imagining Charles's shoes have a little more wear to them, as if he's going out far more than Nancy has been.
So I think the first little scene that I want in this night phase is all of you in a carriage together, traveling to 18 St. James's Street.
It's dark, of course, so I have my little clipped shades off and in my pocket, and Adnam's little blue head is sticking out of the sleeve of my jacket, and I'm, for the moment, just kind of mumbling to him, just whispering to him sweetly as we approach the house.
I'll have a little pocket notebook that I've been just jotting down things that we've discovered and learned so far, and I'm just kind of looking it over before committing crimes.
Incredible.
It's for the good of the public.
I have a small, thin knife that I'm looking over, making sure that it's sharp enough to help with getting into the door.
Once we arrive, I'll send off my little friend here and very likely stay nearer the street in case anyone needs distracted that might notice you all at our dear Constance's house.
I imagine it shouldn't take too long. I've already seen where she keeps all her notes.
Lovely.
And if you need anything, sir, please just call out.
I shall. Luckily, you'll both be close.
Just a few hedges away.
The carriage pulls up to St. James's Street.
I'll step out and hold the door for both of them and help them out into the street.
I'll be the last one out.
Good luck, and I'd usually say Godspeed, but he works ever so slowly.
When I jump out of the carriage, I'm heading straight for Constance's house and just kind of circling, watching the windows, making sure she's not up and having a little spying session.
Oh, right behind you, Miss Cross. And I'll kind of jog off after her.
The windows of Constance Head's house are darkened. I imagine that there's maybe like a community board somewhere on St. James's Street, and you do see what looks like a recently posted note that is like a crude drawing of Miss Cross that says like, "Do not trust this American."
I'll go up and rip it off the board. I do love fan mail.
It's quite a lovely portrait of you.
Capture some of the likeness, but just missing the sparkle in my eyes, you know what I mean?
Perhaps she can do a revision after tonight.
Well, let's hope she doesn't get that close of a look.
Mr. Rose, as Miss Cross and Wainsworth head to Constance Head's house, what are you doing?
I'm going to stroll down the side of the hedges and raise my arm and urge Adnam to slip out and around my arm. All right, my little friend, be my snake in the garden. Find for me what is forbidden, and I'll set him in the grass.
Make the information move with sensitivity.
Okay.
With advantage because you are using your familiar.
All right. That's a 10.
Magnificent. We'll resolve that momentarily. Miss Cross and Wainsworth, what's the approach here?
I want to head around to the window that overlooks the Beals house, where I know that she would sit and watch them. Does the window itself open in any way? Are there locks here?
It looks as though it opens.
I want to pull out that thin knife and try and maneuver open that lock.
This is a night move. I will go ahead and read that. When you do something risky or face something you fear, name what you're afraid will happen if you fail or lose your nerve. Miss Cross, what are you afraid might happen if you fail to open this window silently?
I'm afraid she is awake and in her house and will catch me before I can hide.
It's worse than that.
Oh no.
Yes, this is when I tell you, as per the rules of the night move, that it's worse than what you fear. I think Constance Head has been observing St. James's Street for so long that some of the ghost has started to infect her mind as well.
Ooh.
Oh no.
Well, hell.
This is going to be a night move with composure. I am going to put this at disadvantage because you are an enemy of Constance Head, as well as a subject of scandal.
Yep. 7.
Oh.
I rolled 2 6s and a 1.
Oh.
Tass, narrate a scene in which Charles does something to get under Nancy's skin.
I think that they are in the early stages of preparing to go out for some event. And Charles is sitting at the mirror and he is using the last of her makeup to make himself look presentable for whatever this event is going to be. And he sees that it's the last of it and he doesn't stop. He continues on using every last bit of it.
Miss Cross and Wainsworth, you're able to open the window and slip inside the home of Constance Head. It's very dark in here. Miss Cross, I think you see the abandoned tea set from your ill-fated tea time with Constance, but you hear a rustling on the wall.
I freeze and hold my hand backwards towards Wainsworth. I want to close my eyes tightly and open them a few times to try and get them to adjust to the light in here, or lack thereof, and see if I can make out what's making that rustling sound.
You do, and as your eyes adjust, you see a shape moving, lizard-like, along the wall. It's Constance Head.
Oh! Clarifying question. Does she notice us coming into her house through the window?
She does not seem to yet.
Without taking my eyes off of her, I want to gesture with my hand towards the sill where I know the notebook is stashed and just repeatedly gesture over to that for Wainsworth to see. Like, get that, pick it up, I'll keep an eye on her. Let's get the hell out of here.
So can I mean, I'm like halfway through the window at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Could I just reach and grab it? Like, is the desk against the windowsill?
The notebooks are on the windowsill.
Even better. Can I just kind of scoop them up and then fall back? Not fall, but like climb quickly back out of the window then?
Not without a night move, you can't.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, sure, for sure.
Wainsworth, what are you afraid might happen?
I have this sneaking suspicion that we're going to get spotted and this lizard lady is going to attack us.
It's worse than that. The possessed Constance Head will attack you and drain your life force.
Uh-oh.
This is going to be a night move. I would say it's composure, but since you are confronting a very supernaturally possessed Miss Head, this is a night move with sensitivity. Let me take a look at your conditions.
I think I just have thoughts of death.
I think thoughts of death are coming into play right now, because specifically thoughts of your own death.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so this is going to be with disadvantage.
Oh, shut the front door.
You got this. Easy.
You do always have personal quarters items that you can invoke if you would like to cancel out the disadvantage, but also you all have like a million masks that you've never used, so you can also just kind of roll and let it ride.
It's true.
Yeah, let's just roll the dice. I shouldn't have rolled the dice.
Oh, that's rough.
4.
Mr. Rose, Adnam has disappeared under the threshold of 18 St. James's Street. Are you just waiting for Adnam to return?
I think I'm just waiting. I'm more trusting Adnam and watching these two and their antics at the house next door, trying to more keep an eye out for them while I wait for Adnam. I'm probably not as much paying attention to the Beale house.
Moments pass, and then Adnam slips back out from underneath the threshold, and he's carrying a ripped piece of paper in his cute little mouth.
Oh, I will scoop him up and take the piece of paper and let him slither back into my sleeve. Good work. And I'll see what he's brought me.
This appears to be a torn piece of Harold Beale's ledger book, and it has very strange expenses on it. Things like thought casting and dream whisperer and pig gifts. Your average household expenses.
Okay.
And that is a clue.
I will fold that up and slip that into my pocket.
Kieran, narrate a scene in which Nancy humiliates Charles.
So, building off what Tass established, I'm thinking that there is, as they're going out, Nancy has taken some sort of scissors, knife, something, and has just started to slash away at the back of Charles's coat and trying to do it in a way where he won't notice until they're out in public.
Wainsworth, you reach across the windowsill to grab a hold of the stacked books that belong to Constance Head, but you reach just a bit too far, and one of the books clatters to the ground. Constance Head on the wall whirls to face you, and she opens her mouth and leaps off the wall, grabs you by the throat, and throttles you.
Okay, so in order to not die, I will use a Mask of the Past and narrate a flashback to your young adulthood before you were a servant that shows your most significant professional triumph. The memory that comes to mind for Wainsworth is they worked prior at a seamstress shop and became quite successful at their ability to stitch even the greatest disaster or destruction to a piece of fabric, so much so that they were able to help quite a number of people in London during this time in looking very snazzy.
So, this is the opportunity when I turn back that page in the Choose Your Own Adventure novel that we just told and tell an alternate version of what happens. Wainsworth, your hand closes around one of the books that's on Constance Head's windowsill, but I think she still notices you and flies off the wall and slashes with these unnaturally long nails at your chest. I'm going to give you the condition marked by the St. James's Street ghost.
Oh, yeah.
Constance Head is now hovering menacingly in front of the both of you, her eyes wild and darting, her mouth moving in this choked gasp, words that she can't quite form.
Time to go.
I'm going to grab the teapot from the tea set that's still sitting there and just swing it at her head.
I love this. Make a night move. What are you afraid might happen if you fail?
I'm afraid that even having something smashed over her head isn't going to affect her at all in this state, and it's just going to put me in closer proximity to her.
I think it's worse than that. With your unnatural strength tonight, smashing the teapot over her head will work too well, and Constance's head will die tonight.
Just how many crimes are we committing tonight?
Night's still young, baby.
Make a night move with vitality, and this is made with advantage.
Oh.
Because of your very good quickening roll.
Not to shoot myself in the foot, but would the conditions that I have still be in play here, though?
Yeah, probably. Thank you for keeping me honest.
Yeah, just the conditions I have are just really tailored to this scenario, it feels like.
No, thank you. Thank you for keeping me honest.
All right, so that's a straight roll, but +1. 10.
Nice.
Mr. Rose, something else is emerging from the threshold of 18 St. James's Street.
Dear God, go on.
Actually, I'd like to hear from you. Mr. Rose, there are always these dark entities in your peripheral vision. When they come to the forefront, what do they look like?
I think that they are impressions, these kind of dark, almost formless impressions at the edge of my vision. But when they do get a little clearer, it's always one of three things. It's either a rat, a pig, or a dragon.
It's a rat. Dozens, no, hundreds of rats spilling out from underneath the threshold of 18 St. James's Street, moving to swarm and consume you.
I close my eyes in irritation, and I widen my stance, just fully facing this swarm as it rushes towards me. Why now? If you want me to get anything done in the first place, then you can't distract me with this bullshit! And I want to have wrapped my diamond-encrusted rosary around my knuckles and punch it into my palm, drawing blood right at the stigmata point. And I would like to banish a spirit or curse from this place.
Mr. Rose, please roll Rites of Salt and Smoke.
I shall. That's an 8.
Megan, back to the Belfort murder. Which of the two can't take it any longer? Describe them murdering the other one. Are they happy at the end?
It's very late, and Nancy is at home when Charles returns from who knows where, drunkenly stumbling into the house, tossing his jacket onto the floor. Frustrated and annoyed, Nancy picks it up to put it away and finds papers that fall out of the pocket. Drawings of other women. She confronts Charles, and he dismisses her completely, uninterested in the conversation, and her frustration of the entire situation, of their entire relationship, boils up in her, and without even thinking about it, she grabs the vase of dead flowers and smashes him over the head with it. He falls, hitting the corner of his head on a table as he hits the ground, and as blood spreads out across their carpet, she sits in a chair, and I don't think she's happy, but does find some content in being alone.
Mr. Rose, on a mixed success for Rites of Salt and Smoke, you have to choose a complication. What would you like?
I think the effect is short-lived. I don't know how much I can impose about the why, but I think the knee-jerk reaction I have to this, and I could be wrong, like Lancel could be wrong, but that this is sort of goading me into action, that I'm taking too long, and that this is their way of urging me forward, and I know that I have to move.
Describe how you banish these dark entities.
With my eyes still closed, I start walking down this avenue towards the door that they were spilling out of at the Beale house, and I pull the diamond rosary away from the palm of my hand that's now covered in blood, and I start lashing out with my hand, splattering that blood across the rats as they swarm, and the blood is steaming and hot, and it sizzles them away. As the blood hits them, they just wither and turn to smoke as I walk through this mass.
Miss Cross and Wainsworth, I'm going to pass narrative control over to you. You have acquired one of Constance's journals, which I'll allow you to read at some point, maybe during your next day phase. But how do the two of you remove yourself from Constance's home?
After hitting her with a teapot and causing that disruption, I think it's just right back out the open window.
Bail immediately.
Yes, Miss Head just collapses, still breathing, on the floor of her parlor as the two of you scramble out the window and I think reconvene with Mr. Rose and head back to Hargrave House. That concludes our night phase.
Whew, what a night.
I'm like bleeding out from my chest. Just, hey guys. Everything went perfectly fine.
We're now going to enter the dawn phase. This is again a brief out of character upkeep phase. The first thing we do in the dawn phase is collect rewards if a threat was resolved. We have not yet resolved a threat, so there are no rewards to get. And now we are going to take a look at our dawn questions. So, did the hunters answer a question? We did. All of you get a point of experience. Did we resolve a threat? No, not yet. Did we get an echo in the night? I think I heard a couple of them, but let me just check. Tass, do you think you got an echo tonight?
I think this is loose, but I'm just kind of imagining the last moments of these things happening, of the blood splatter at the Belforts and the blood splatter on the walk leading up to the Beale house from me moving through the mass.
Oh, I love that. I think that counts.
Okay.
Megan, I heard your echo pretty clearly with you hitting Constance's head with the teapot and then Nancy murdering Charles.
I was also going for the drawings in his
Oh, yeah.
pocket to go along with the crude drawing of me on the community board.
Absolutely. Sadly, you still only get 1 XP, even though you got 2 echoes. Kieran, any echoes tonight?
This may be the loosest connection I could make, but maybe the scrap of the ledger that Adnam found connected to the scraps that would have been torn away from Charles's coat that Nancy messed up.
I also heard one that I thought was intentional, but you described using like scissors or maybe a knife to cut the coat, and I was absolutely using a knife to break into
Oh my gosh.
the house.
Yeah, that's the echo I totally meant to do.
Okay, then another point of experience for all of you. Good job, hunters.
How does that work with, like, if you did one unintentionally? Like, is that fair for someone else to be like, I think you said this and this would be an echo, or does it have to be, I worked this in narratively on purpose?
I think it still counts. Doing an echo in the night is definitely just a muscle that you get more comfortable with doing as you go on. And like, you will find yourselves just looking for opportunities to just put echoes in, even if they happen kind of subconsciously. So yeah, I want to reward that kind of thinking. Miss Cross, did you use violence to solve a problem?
Yeah.
Yes, very definitively. Did you encourage a fellow hunter to let loose for a change?
I was going to say Wainsworth doing a B&E, but they volunteered. That wasn't even me trying to, like, get them to.
Yeah, I don't think that quite counts, but that is one more point of experience for you. Mr. Rose, did you have a face-to-face encounter with a dark entity?
Yeah.
Yes, you did. Did you make love to a human in order to forget the darkness?
Listen, I was trying to be vague about what happened up there.
But we all know. We all know.
Yes, yeah, absolutely yes.
Wainsworth, did you ensure your employer got credit for your triumphs?
Not really.
Yeah,
I don't think.
I saw that necessarily. Did you engage in a petty reprisal of someone who angered your employer?
Okay. So only Mr. Rose counts as my employer, right?
Yes.
Okay, then I don't think doing a B&E at Miss Head's house counts.
That's okay. That's fair.
We'll get one.
I'll get there. Don't worry, guys. I'm playing the long game.
All right. We don't have any moves that are resolved during the dawn phase, nor do we have any Janus Mask prompts that are unresolved. So that concludes our first full cycle of the Between. But the day awaits, and with it, a brand new threat that you have to contend with.
Shadows in the Smoke is a Critshow Studios production, produced by Kim Dalton with music by Jake Purley. This episode edited by Eric Wilburn and sound designed by Kim Dalton.